Okay, today we're going to be doing a transmission fluid and filter change on a 1998 Buick Century with a 3.1 liter engine. And the steps performed in this video should be the same for most automatic transmission cars and trucks, and especially GM products. Okay, so we raised the left side of the car, the driver's side of the car, and set it on jack stands. And now we're going to proceed to loosen the transmission pan bolts. We want to just loosen them first. We want to loosen them all. And we're using a 10 millimeter socket with a small ratchet. And what we want to do once we loosen them, we want to just remove the corner on the passenger side, corner right here on the passenger side, and we'll remove a few of the bolts around this corner here, and then we'll loosen enough of the rest of the bolts just so we can lower just this corner here, the passenger side corner, so we can let the fluid leak slowly. And we'll have a catch pan ready. And as you can see, also we have a bunch of newspapers ready and a drip pan below to make sure we don't make a mess. We'll continue to loosen all the bolts. And you can use a small extension also if you like. So as you can see, by barely loosening the bolts, we have a pretty good flow already. And we want to limit it just to the corner, so we can catch it all. If it gets out of hand, you can just tighten them a little, a few of them, just to control the flow. You want to get it to go in your pan. I should have had a bigger catch pan here. I have another drip pan below this, just to catch anything that drips outside of it, because this is a messy job. If you want to be ready, try not to make a mess. So we'll let that drip out, and then as the flow diminishes, we'll unscrew the bolts a little more. And what I did, I just loosened all the bolts, and I loosened this corner here just a bit more, and that started the flow. In some cars, you may have to pry a little, just slightly, with a screwdriver, just lightly, to get the pan pan loose from the gasket. But in this car, it started flowing without any prying. And you want to have lots of newspapers ready, as I said earlier, just to make sure. Try to catch anything that drips out of the pan. You also want to have a lot of rags, plenty of rags ready. Okay, so we've taken off most of the bolts slowly as the fluid dripped out, and we have most of the fluid out already. And we just took the bolts off slowly, starting out here, and until we left just the back, the bolts on here on the driver's side, and now we're ready just to drop the pan completely. And now we're going to do that next. And there it goes. Okay, we'll remove the gasket, and now we'll give you a little different angle here, so you can go wiggle out our filter. And if you need to, you can pry carefully right here against the bolt here. As you wiggle it out. Like so. Being careful with any of the parts here. And there's more fluid in the filter, so just be careful. You can put it right on the pan on your catcher. And it's a good idea to get a good size pan, to get a good size oil pan to get everything, that all the fluid that comes out of here. And then we want to clean our mating surfaces here, and get all the deposits and any old gasket that might be on here before we get ready to put on our new gasket. I'm gonna make sure we get all our mating surfaces nice and clean, both on the transaxle and on the pan. So upon inspection, we see that there is some sludge that accumulated in the pan. It seems not to be real bad for this is a car with almost 100,000 miles on it. So and some of this is from the old gasket. It seems that there is a little bit of material has accumulated, but it's probably to be expected for a car this age. You want to check the magnet as well. The magnet, it does have some sludge accumulated on it. So, I mean, this car maybe the owner says they haven't had any problems. But yeah, there's he also doesn't know exactly when was the last time that the transmission was serviced. So there seems to be quite a bit of sludge on that magnet. So yeah, there may be some. This was probably overdue for a transmission fluid change, and I don't think it's really bad, but there may be some transmission damage already. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell. So we'll clean all this up, make it nice and clean, and then put it all back together. And we want to make sure to clean everything, clean the magnet, clean everything out, and clean all the mating surfaces as well right here on there, where the new gasket is going to go. Okay, so we used a lintless cloth to clean it all out, and we also used a non-residue cleaner. We chose a brake cleaner. It's usually the favorite, and one part you want to pay close attention is the mating surfaces and the where the gasket is going to go. You want to make sure it's nice and clean, free of oil and dirt or dirt. And if there is some gasket residue, we can use a putty knife without straight like this, without make sure we don't scratch it, and to get any old pieces of gasket that might be still stuck. So once we do that, we're ready to install our filter and put our pan back on. So we'll do that next. And another area that we want to make sure we also get nice and clean is our magnet right here. I want to make sure we get all the sludge and all the deposits that are stuck on there. Make sure we get that nice and clean. So once we do that, then we're ready to get it, put it back on. Okay, next, this is important. Read the instructions that came with your new transmission filter and gasket. And if your vehicle came with a rigid pan gasket, such as in this case, the instructions say that if your gasket is in good condition and not damaged, you should reuse your old gasket. If it's a rigid reusable gasket in good condition, you should reuse it. If not, then you can use the one included with the kit. So read the instructions, and so do either if you're going to reuse your gasket, clean it with brake cleaner or a non-residue cleaner. Clean it and dry it really well on both sides, and then reinstall your gasket if that is the case. If not, install the gasket included with your kit. Okay, next we need to pull out the old filter seal, and you can either use a pick such as this, pull it out, and if it's on there real tight, which sometimes they are, you can use a screwdriver to carefully pry it out without damaging the case and the transmission. And you can use the screwdriver also to hit it on the edge, and until you bend it enough that it'll allow you to pull it out like this. And this is the old seal. The kit. Make sure the kit that comes with a new one before you do that. Usually the new filter will come with a new seal, which is this one here. And make sure that just clean everything. Clean it all out real good. And then we'll install our new seal. And then we'll gently hammer it back in. We want to make sure it goes in straight. Make sure you don't hit anything else on the way, any of the any of the case or the components. And we want to make sure we hammer it in evenly until it's flush with the case, until the lip and the seal is flush with the case. Okay, once that's done, make sure we clean everything again. Make sure you use a lintless rag or cloth. We're gonna also we'll spray brake cleaner or non-residue cleaner on all the gasket mating surfaces, and then we'll install our new pan gasket and the pan. And but before we do that, actually, we want to do is we'll install our new filter. Put the new filter in place. We want to place it into the seal. And you can just use your hand to get that into place. Just push right here on the tube. Okay, here it is. Okay, and then we're ready to install our gasket and our pan. Okay, so we have our filter into place, and we have our gasket in place as well on the pan. And we're gonna put the screws in. We'll just put them finger tight. And we'll get all of our screws in, and proceed to tighten them. And it's a good idea also to clean out all your screws, all the threads on your screws first before this step, to make sure that you get a good torque reading. It's important to get to torque them down. These are the specifications on this car call for 156 inch-pounds. And that's inch-pounds, 156 inch-pounds, which amounts to be about 12 foot-pounds. And if you don't have a inch-pound wrench, torque wrench, you can use a foot-pound wrench, but it's better to use an inch-pound wrench because it's to be a little more accurate. It's 12 foot-pounds, kind of low, very low on the scale. So we'll finish putting in our bolts. So we got them all snug evenly, and now we're ready to torque them. And torquing them is important because you don't want to leave them loose, and also you don't want it over tighten them, because over tightening, this is a steel pan, and if you over tighten it, it will warp, and then you'll start getting leaks. So it's important to use a torque wrench. And for this car, it calls for, the specifications call for 156 inch-pounds, so which is about 12 foot-pounds So we'll do that next. And of course, you have to check the specifications for your particular vehicle. Okay, so we're ready to torque it down, and we want to approach our torque setting. In this case, it will be 156 inch-pounds, and that's inch pounds, which is amounts to be about 12 foot-pounds. And of course, you got to check on the specs for your particular vehicle. And we want to approach our torque setting in about 4 steps, and we want to go evenly across, starting from the center. And we'll go ahead and continue doing that. In about 4, we should get there in about 4 steps until we reach our torque setting. Okay, so we torque them down, and we check them once we tied them in a star pattern. We went and checked them one by one, and if you use a click type torque wrench such as this one, it makes it a little easier to torque it down. You can use a dial type, but the click type usually makes it easier. Okay, and with that, we're ready to refill our with our transmission fluid. And of course, you need to check for your particular vehicle. That's very important. The type of the correct fluid for your particular vehicle. Okay, so the only thing left to do now is to add some transmission fluid, and we took out approximately somewhere between 5 to 7 quarts. So we're gonna we need to add it slowly and keep track and put it to the minimum, and then we'll start the engine, run it through all the gears while idling, and then do that a couple of times and put it back in park, and then let it warm up, and then we'll top it off. So we should be adding about 4 quarts to begin with, but we'll do it slowly, checking to make sure we don't overfill it. So we'll add some, and then we'll check to make sure it's we didn't go over. And then we'll start the engine, let it warm up in park on a level surface, and then we'll check it again, and we'll top it off until it's at the mark where it says hot. It usually says, depending on the car, we'll say you'll have the hash marks, and some cars will say hot, warm, and you'll see the instructions on the dipstick. They normally say to check it in park when the engine is warm at operating temperature. And now the thing is, when you replace filter and do the filter and fluid change as we did, we're not completely taking the all of the fluid. We're taking more or less somewhere between half to 3/4 of the actual capacity. Yeah. So one of the reasons I raced the car from the driver's side is since the torque converter, it's on right here on the driver's side. That puts it in an incline to try to get most of the fluid that's in the torque converter. But there's always some fluid that remains in the torque converter. So what we're going to do, we'll run it for a few minutes, and then what I do, I'll after it's warm, run it for a few minutes. I'll put in a small diameter hose into the dipstick as far as it'll go, and then I'll pump out all the fluid I can, and then I'll refill it again. That way, what we're trying to do is take out all the rest of the old fluid out that remains in the torque converter and in the rest of the transmission. Okay, and this is a setup I use for siphoning the transmission fluid. I use a siphon pump and with a piece of plastic tubing at the end, and this is I believe is 3/8 outside diameter tubing, and I believe it's probably PVC tubing, and the siphon pump tubing is 9. Let's see, I think it's 9/16. So so it fits right in the PVC tubing fits right in. Makes a good connection here with the tubing that comes with the siphon pump. And the siphon pump, I believe that, yeah, in fact I have it right here. It's from Harbor Freight. This is the one that I've used with that works the best. It's item number 93290, and from Harbor Freight. Little plug there for Harbor Freight. And I've used a few pumps, and this one works the best. What I do when starting to siphon the fluid, if it doesn't come up quick enough, I plug in the outlet as I release the pump, and that helps it to get the pump primed and get the fluid going. And once the fluid gets up to the pump, then it's pretty easy. And I believe that's it for this video. Hope this video was helpful, and please don't forget to subscribe and like and share as well. And thanks for watching, and as always, try to stay clean. Just try.